The chandeliers glimmered high above the lavish dining hall, scattering threads of golden light over polished wine glasses and gleaming silverware. Laughter mingled with the graceful notes of a violin and the soft clink of champagne flutes. To any outsider, it looked like perfection, a celebration of love, fortune, and triumph. But to Daniel Royce it felt as though a quiet storm rumbled beneath the glitter. Across the table sat his fiancée, Emily, smiling politely at her parents, yet her eyes carried a chill Daniel couldn't ignore. Everything around him looked flawless, the food, the music, the guests, but that perfection felt staged, artificial. Before we continue, if you believe in kindness, redemption, and second chances, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Stories of Kindness. Your support helps us spread stories that remind the world that compassion still matters. Daniel hadn't been born into privilege. He had climbed from a cramped attic to owning one of the city's top architecture firms, through years of struggle, heartbreak, and sleepless ambition. He built everything from nothing, just to create a life his late mother would have been proud of. And yet, in that grand restaurant filled with applause and affluence, a deep unease grew in his chest. Emily's parents had never approved of him. They smiled in public but whispered their disdain in private. Her father had once told her, "He may have money, but he'll never have class." Still, Daniel loved her, or thought he did, her laughter, her charm, the gentle way she once said his name. But lately, that warmth had turned cold, replaced by subtle calculation. She had grown distant, manipulative, and Daniel, blinded by love, hadn't wanted to see it. As the waiter poured wine into his glass, Daniel glanced around the hall. Every table shimmered with power. Business tycoons, politicians, celebrities. Emily's father had arranged this dinner as a pre-wedding celebration, but Daniel couldn't shake the feeling that something about it felt orchestrated. Then it happened. A young waitress approached, her uniform slightly crumpled, eyes flickering with tension. As she leaned in to refill Daniel's glass, she whispered, just loud enough for him to hear, "Run now before it's too late." Daniel froze. The words made no sense. Run? From what? He looked up, but the girl had already straightened, pretending nothing had happened. His pulse quickened. Emily kept smiling, chatting with her mother, oblivious, or perhaps not. Acting calm, Daniel set down his glass and excused himself, pretending to take a call. As he stepped away, the waitress followed him, her eyes darting toward the guards at the door. Once they were out of earshot, she whispered again, trembling, "They're going to drug your drink tonight. You were never meant to leave this place alive." Her words hit him like lightning. His stomach turned, not from wine but from fear. "What are you talking about?" he asked, his throat dry. The waitress, Anna, looked terrified. "Your fiancée and her father have been planning this. They already drained one of your accounts. I overheard them. Please, go now, before they notice." Daniel wanted to deny it, to believe it was a cruel misunderstanding. But his mind began piecing things together. The strange papers Emily had pushed him to sign, the new lawyer she insisted on, the joint accounts, her father's sudden interest in his firm. It all connected. Without another word, Daniel slipped out through the kitchen, the stunned staff watching as he pushed open the back door and vanished into the sunlight. Outside, the bright afternoon sky hit his face like a cold awakening. Behind him, laughter still drifted from the restaurant, a haunting echo from the life he had just escaped. He got into his car and drove, nowhere in particular, just away. Away from betrayal, away from illusion. By the time he reached the sea, his heart was heavy with disbelief. Emily's smile, her words of love, now they all felt poisoned. He parked near the shore, watching waves crash against the rocks as his reflection trembled in the glass. Hours later, his phone buzzed. A message from his lawyer. "Daniel, I need to talk. Someone tried to transfer all your company shares. Did you approve it?" His hands shook as he replied, "No." The truth unraveled quickly. Emily's family had orchestrated everything. They wanted his empire, not his heart. For days, Daniel stayed hidden. Then Anna reached out again. She apologized for not speaking sooner, confessing that she worked part-time at the restaurant and had overheard Emily's father bribing someone to forge legal documents. "I couldn't let them destroy you," she said quietly. That act of courage saved his life. Daniel offered her protection, even money, but Anna refused. "Just promise me one thing," she said softly. "Don't let this make you hate people. Not everyone who enters your life wants to take something away." Those words changed him. Daniel rebuilt his company, cut all ties with Emily's family, and founded an organization that offered legal aid to victims of fraud and betrayal. At every event he shared his story, and always mentioned the nameless waitress who had once saved him with 6 simple words: Run now, before it's too late. Months later he met Anna again, at a charity gala. But this time, she wasn't serving tables. She was managing the entire event. Her eyes held the same kindness, but now they shone with confidence. They smiled at each other. Not in romance, but in deep, mutual respect. She had restored his faith in humanity when he had nearly lost it. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe to Stories of Kindness. Every click helps us spread stories that remind the world about the power of compassion, courage, and doing what's right, even when it's dangerous. And tell us in the comments, would you have trusted the waitress or stayed to find out the truth? Because sometimes life gives you just one quiet whisper, a warning that can save everything you are. And if you're lucky enough to hear it, have the courage to run before it's too late.